I'm an 18-year-old professional video editor and YouTuber with over 30 million views, and I've edited videos like this, and this. Here are 4 editing techniques that I use that will instantly level up your videos and help you get way more views once you learn how to do them, starting with number 1, animated stock characters. An animated stock character is basically just throwing a logo or a face on a body and making it talk and move in your videos. You can use these in your videos in place of you talking, to act out scenarios or flashbacks, or just to be funny. And making them is super easy in any editing software. First, let's set them up. Start by finding stock images of people on the internet to use for your character's body. Personally, I'm a super esteemed gentleman, so I'm only using ones in suits and nice clothes, but you can do whatever you want. Next, get everything into Photoshop or any other photo editing software like Photopea. And on that note, today I'm going to be using all Adobe software to do these editing tricks, but if you're not an Adobe Sigma like me, you can always use alternative software and it'll work fine. Things just might look a little bit different. And now that we have our stock images in Photoshop, we're going to go ahead and remove the backgrounds. In Photoshop, there are a lot of different ways to do this, but the easiest way is to click the quick selection tool, then hit select subject, clean up your selection, right click and invert your selection so everything except the person is selected, and then delete the background with your delete key. Then grab a logo of yourself or whatever you want to use for your character's face. If it's a logo, import it into Photoshop, resize it, and throw it on top of each of the cutout stock images to set up your characters. Otherwise, if it's a face, throw it in Photoshop and remove the background like we did before. Use the erase tool to get rid of everything below the face so you just have a head and a neck, and throw it on top of each stock image to set up your characters. If you need to, you can also erase the heads of the stock images just to make things look a little cleaner. And now that we have our characters set up, we need to animate them and make them talk. To do this, throw your characters into your video editor of choice and make sure you're editing in 60 FPS so it looks super smooth when we animate. Then move your first character off the screen at the bottom like so, create a keyframe, jump 15 frames forward, and create a second keyframe with your character totally on screen. Then ease the keyframes like this so it looks nice and sexy, and now we have our character pop in on screen. Save this as a preset called character in or something like that so we can reuse it later. Next, we're gonna make the character wobble around just so they look a little more alive and not stiff like me when I talk to girls. And the best way to do this is to use a preset that simulates handheld camera shake and just throw it on our character. You can find a bunch of free camera shake presets with just a quick Google search, including the name of your video editing software. For example, handheld camera shake presets Premiere Pro helped me find this article with a bunch of free camera shake presets. And once you figure that out, just throw it into your video editing software on your character to give it some life and it'll wobble around. Finally, if you want the character to change poses, just edit in multiple characters side by side in your timeline, both with the character in preset that makes them pop in and camera shake preset, and it'll look super good. You can even make this more advanced with 3D tilt animation, scaling, and sound effects if you want. But now that you have these really cool animated characters to use in your videos, you'll probably also want some way to show really big numbers counting up in your videos like this. Because chances are, no matter what kind of videos you make, you're gonna want some way to show big numbers counting up and make it look super good. For example, you can show things like money, jobs, deaths, dates, and so much more. Me personally, I use this to show how rich and famous I am in all of my... You weren't supposed to see that. And unfortunately, for how common this effect is, it's just really hard to do in most video editing softwares, but luckily, I've got you covered. First, in your video editor, you're gonna make a new sequence and add in what's called a time code. A time code is just this little thing that shows the exact time that you're at in a video. In Premiere, to add this, you just have to make a transparent video and then add the time code on that transparent video as an effect. In Premiere, just remove the field symbol, change the format to frames, and make the time code source clip so it starts from 0. Next, stretch out your clip until the number on your time code is as big as you want, then center the time code and make it bigger, and you have a number counter that you can use for anything. For example, let's say I want to show a YouTube channel blowing up. First, I'll take this YouTube Studio screenshot, then use a rectangle to cover up the actual sub count, then add in my number counter as a sequence with this button crossed out so it imports it as a single clip like this. Cut it so it starts around 40,000, let's say, and then speed it up a bunch so it goes really fast and counts up super high. Easy. You can obviously make this better by adding glows, sound effects, and maybe an impact effect whenever it stops at the number you want, but unfortunately, with this method of creating a number counter, you can't change the font, but regardless, it'll look fine for most things that you want to do. But what if you want to use a graph instead of a counting effect to show big numbers? Well, graphs are actually pretty easy to make in any video editing software. You'll want to start by drawing your graph. In Premiere, this is made super easy with this little pen tool here, but of course, you can make this in another software or do it however you want. Then remove the fill and change the stroke to be in the center and make it as thick as you want so that it becomes a big line. Next, we need to animate it. So you're going to drag in in a linear wipe effect and change the wipe angle to roughly the opposite direction your graph goes, even if it's curved. For example, if my graph goes like this, the wipe angle is going to be this, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to reverse this transition. It's going to go from here and it's going to slowly reveal the graph, and it's going to look super cool. To do this, just add a starting keyframe with the transition at 100% or complete, and then add an end keyframe with it at 0%. And boom! Our graph looks super sexy, it gets revealed. Even if it's a curve, this works super well. And of course, you can make this look even better with a grid behind it, maybe some labels. And speaking of labels, labeling what you're talking about in your videos using animated subtitles is one of the best editing tricks to level up your videos. And lots of creators know this and use them, but make them the wrong way so that they're super ugly and distracting, and also make them manually, which takes forever. So here's the right way to make your subtitles like a top G. Start by finding your video editor's auto subtitles feature. In Premiere Pro, you can find this in Window, Text, and create captions from transcript. Then adjust your auto caption settings so that only 1 to 2 words are shown on screen at a time. Let the captions generate, and voila. Now it's time to make them not look like shit. A lot of creators overdo their subtitles by making them pop in super dramatically all the time, or using weird colors and outlines and putting them in awkward positions on the screen. But we're not going to do that. Good subtitles are subtle but supplementary to whatever is going on in your video. So keep them relatively small. To make them stand out a bit better from the background, either add a black stroke or some sort of drop shadow or glow so that it looks super good. Just don't do anything super weird or distracting. Also, pick an easily readable font and put them at the bottom of your screen so they're not too distracting. And if you want, you can add some subtle animations, but again, don't overdo this. For most videos, simple cuts will just do the job. And now that you have these 4 editing techniques in your back locker, you can 100% just level up your content right away and get way more views. However, editing is just one part of what makes a video on YouTube go viral. And I know this because I've helped produce hundreds of YouTube videos with over 30 million views to my name. So you'll definitely want to watch this video next to learn more about how to go viral on YouTube and blow up your channel.